Hello, everybody, and welcome to May 2026. We're 5 months into this year. Holy moly, what a roller coaster it's been. And I don't know about you guys, but I certainly felt Uranus's entrance into Gemini on Saturday evening, which was the last Saturday of April. And I know in my own personal life, I felt it. It's felt quite chaotic and adjusting to something this past week. And on the world stage, we know that shocking events unfolded that night. It was actually within minutes of Uranus entering Gemini that there was another attempted assassination on the president. We also are dealing with the contemplative aftershocks of that as well. And we still continue to deal with economic skepticism, as well as further uncertainty surrounding the war in Iran. So there's a lot going on. And the backdrop to these events and concerns lies a visceral quickening and even a sense of alarm that a tsunami of change is upon us. And within this context, make sure you're taking really good care of yourselves. There's so much that we cannot control. And you're right where you're supposed to be. So find the good things to hold on to, find the people that you love, the things, the activities that you love, and find some solace in that. May is going to nudge us further along this path. One step at a time, we personally and collectively step into a new way of living on Earth. Just like most things in life, it is happening both very slowly and all at once. And we feel as though we're just going through our days most of the time, getting up, doing the work, eating the food, cleaning up the food, all of the stuff. And then we look back and realize that we don't recognize parts of the world that we live in, that things have distinctively changed. And it changed when we were in it. And oh my, no wonder things have been feeling so off. And describing the change can feel really nearly impossible. There's a lot of these things, there's just no good words for. And just remembering that it's all okay and it's all as it needs to be. It is important to remember that life is designed for change. I know I've said this before. And as humans, we are here to dance with the cosmos, with life's master plan. The dance subtly and not so subtly maneuvers us through our evolutionary path. Remember that you can't dance when you're paralyzed with fear. Get out there and shake your booty. Have some fun. There's a lot of fun to be had, even though there's a lot of not so fun happening as well. There's a lot of liberation. There's a lot of new ways to live our lives that are available for us. So take advantage of it. All right. So on May 1st at 1:23 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we are going to have the Scorpio full moon. It's situated at 11 degrees Scorpio, 20 minutes, with the sun at the same degree and minute in Taurus. A Scorpio full moon signals depth of feeling and orients us towards topics of passion and security. Most notably, this full moon is situated in a square to Pluto. It's a separating square, so you can expect the intensity to peak a day or two prior to the full moon itself. So I would say around this time that I'm recording this, which is before the 1st of May, when this full moon is taking place. I know I've been feeling it. There's been a lot of crunchiness between this full moon coming to perfection and also the Uranus uh, ingress into Gemini. There's been a lot of shaking up and what are the consequences and where am I safe? And safety is definitely sure to be highlighted, both personally and globally. And I think that we're seeing this in that assassination attempt is people are looking at who's safe. This is something we've been dealing with on and off for many years now in the United States, but here we are in another context. And we're contemplating again, what is safety? Where are we regulated? What are the dangers out there? Which is largely Pluto territory for sure. We cannot and should not trust everyone all the time. I mean, that's a given. And we need to be discerning in order to protect ourselves and those who we love. Those are real needs that we have. But the real lesson at this time could be, how do we trust our intuition more intimately? Can we prevent ourselves from entering the swirling mindfuck of what ifs and just trust that our intuition is spot on? I would say 100% of the time. That feeling deep in our gut with our very own beautiful body is really the only real North Star that we need. And in this physical incarnation, what else would we really want to align with? That's ours, that's in our body, in our knowing, with our soul. And words deplete the wisdom imparted by this inner knowing. Words are largely inadequate and tend to minimize the wealth of insight that our intuition bestows. So listen to the seemingly cryptic messages that lie deep within you. Don't try to figure out the details. Don't try to figure out the logic, the linear nature of the whatever's coming up. Just take it for what it is. And then take the first step, and then take the next step, and then follow along. And when time is speeding up, and the information overflow is overwhelming and the newsreels are constantly derailing our sense of safety, practice listening to you. It will change everything because you are really the only wisdom that you need. And that's why I always encourage, especially last month, I was highlighting staying in your body because with everything swirling around in our minds, potentially getting caught up in that, we need to have this center to rest in and tap into and get the information that we need from, because there's going to be too much information and not all going to be in alignment with one another. So keeping that in mind. And this next piece that I'm going to talk about is actually tied into the Scorpio full moon. Pluto stations retrograde on May 6th at 5 degrees Aquarius, 30 minutes. We're going to be feeling this as part of the Scorpio full moon that we just spoke to, which means that Pluto in the full moon and days after is going to be a very potent Pluto. It's essentially stopped in the sky as it stations either retrograde or direct, just magnifying its energies, its archetypal significance into our lives, especially if you have any placements at or around 5 degrees of Aquarius or other fixed signs such as Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And Pluto requires sacrifice. It's not the sacrifice of time and effort that Mars and Saturn requires. And it's not that tangible. Pluto works in the realm of psychological patterning, with grips on control, and anything that touches these areas of our life. If you have daily systems that you are born from, that are born from trauma or are just oriented towards the need for control, then this could be a more intense time for you. And most of us have those. So I think it's a great time to tap in and see, where can we loosen that up a little bit? Where can I sacrifice and release some of that gripping onto trying to control things? Pluto exposes where we are denying ourselves actual access to power, which is part of that too, through various levels of hypervigilance. Contrary to our survival mechanisms, letting go allows us to be more effective when reacting to a world that we cannot control. This idea of control, while in some ways it can be very effective, in other ways lessens our connection to the flow that we're supposed to be on and not trusting that our path is safe. And that's a big deal because a lot of us have had paths that aren't safe. So letting go of that control in whichever way we can is going to allow us to slip into our intuitive path. And like I was talking to before, being able to listen and trust that inner voice within us a little bit more. So these are all things that are coming up in late April and the first couple weeks of May. So I would encourage you to look at what illusions of control gets you through the day. And where can you release the grip, even just a little bit? You'd be surprised what that does for you. Where can you release your grip of this illusion? The beginning of May could delve you deeper in touch with this area of life. Be kind with yourself. Pluto tends to uncover the most vulnerable parts of who we are. And the aim with Pluto is to bring strength to these vulnerabilities. On the world stage, we can expect to see much more heavy handed activity this first week of May, possibly distinct changes in how power is distributed, or just overstretched reaches of authority as well. So on May 16th, the Taurus new moon takes place. And a Taurus new moon is really comfort seeking. It's taking place at 26 degrees Taurus, 57 minutes. And it's occurring at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. As an archetype, one of the areas of life that Taurus symbolizes includes financial wealth in order to maintain stability and ease. And in the Washington, D.C. chart representing the U.S. as a whole for this new moon, there's a real strong financial focus in that chart. So within the US, there could be anxiety surrounding how to maintain the comfortable lifestyles that so many of us enjoy. And access to creature comforts could feel a bit more tenuous. We may be thinking about those things a bit more. Be careful not to get too stuck in your ways, which is another Taurus trait, as you navigate this potentially tricky time with these topics coming up. On a personal level, you could be focused on discovering new approaches to maintain your own lifestyle, maybe rearranging your budget, finding tricks to saving money, or simply finding solace in what you already have. This part of your chart has recently been churned up by Uranus over the past couple years. So maybe there's a new beginning blooming out of this fertile soil. That's ultimately what new moons represent. And it doesn't have to be tied to resources necessarily. It could be tied to many things. So look at where this lies in your chart, 26, 27 degrees of Taurus, and see what house is in, what if there's any planets there to see what topics might be coming up for you. Also, see what you have between 23 and 29 degrees of the fixed signs, which include Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. I think you're really ready to germinate something quite beautiful in this part of your life. And then we have some intensity coming up the last week of May. And this is highlighting the Sun conjunct Uranus on May 22nd at 1 degrees Gemini, 31 minutes. And Mars square Pluto on May 25th at 5 degrees, 25 minutes between Mars and Taurus and Pluto and Aquarius. So, although the Sun conjoins Uranus every year, this year's conjunction is energized due to Uranus's most recent entrance into Gemini. The two alignments occurring so close to one another indicates a time when superhuman force and extreme events could be taking place, especially on the world stage. There could be a sense of urgency and upset. If you have any placements in the early degrees, 0 to 6 degrees of either of the fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, or the mutable signs, which are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, then you could be feeling the impact of these transits more personally. Otherwise, you might not even sense it in your life. It might just be something that you see happening in the world or maybe happening with some other people in your life who might have those alignments. More positively, though, this is a really great time to push towards new ideas. If you have felt stuck, then this is a great week in particular that could provide both the jolt to get you moving and the drive to keep you focused, plus some great inspiration. These are quick moving influences, so take advantage of this energy if you think that it can help you out in the long run. But be careful of taking things too far. The energy is pretty great, and you could unintentionally step on someone's toes or create more chaos than you had wanted. The intensity of this week takes us into the Sagittarius full moon, which could bring whatever events are unfolding to a culmination point, and that's our next step. So we do have 3 lunations this month, which is unusual. This month kind of stuffed them all in, one occurring on the very first day and one occurring on the very last day, and the middle one right in the middle of the month. So we've got a lot to cover. On the last day of the month, the 31st, the Sagittarius full moon takes place at 9 degrees, 55 minutes with the sun in Gemini, the moon in Sagittarius. It takes place at 2:45 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And I suspect that the weeks prior, where we were largely grappling with topics surrounding security, trust, comfort, could lead to some form of unraveling as this full moon perfects. It's situated quite close to Uranus, where there's a strong likelihood that this is the kind of full moon that could keep you up at night. I know a lot of people deal with that regularly, and that has to do most of the time with how it's aligning to your chart. We're just feeling more sensitive, or maybe we're just more sensitive in the world as it is. And these new and full moons tend to wake us up. Or maybe you're in perimenopause like me and you're just waking up in the middle of the night as it is, anyways. So definitely make sure that you're tending to your nervous system and your mind this last part of the month to make sure you're getting enough sleep, that you're able to keep your body in as calm of a state as you can. Touch earth, breathe air, and be mindful about it. So, looking at the chart cast for the United States in Washington, D.C., this could be a time when there's more corruption of power, I hate to say it, and misguided leadership and a revolutionary response could be at the forefront. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see more protests and that sort of thing, or maybe just murmurings of just greater discomfort starting to bubble in the United States consciousness. So even if these topics are not making headlines, there are indications that these events could be, like I said, bubbling up behind the scenes and just on many people's minds. It is possible that the conflict in Iran takes a new turn at this point, inciting further violence or cutting more ties with nations that we once saw as allies. If you find yourself getting too wrapped up in what's happening, turn it off, go be with nature, or something else to calm your nerves. The end of May, it's not a chill time. It's just not. We are adjusting to the new normal, and time is moving at warp speed. Events are unfolding faster than we can keep track of them, both personally and also just in the world at large. We're balancing a lot of things at one time, and humans aren't really great multitaskers as much as we'd like to think we are. There is a potential that we could be hearing about new technological advancements as well, or just integrating the current technology deeper into our daily lives, such as AI. June does promise some reprieve from the pressurized intensity, so hang in there. In closing, May will provide opportunity for some deep processing and even healing, but there is the potential for raw moments inviting in discomfort. Don't run from the exposure. I urge you to stay with it, but also reach out for help when you need it. Remember that we're all dealing with different versions of the same thing. So even if people aren't having your same experience, you can be pretty sure that they're dealing with something else. But also, we aren't here to remain in a cozy bubble of comfort. We are here to push the boundaries of being human and feel all the feels. That's why we're here. This is something that Taurus tends to struggle with, the constant variability of life. But the vexation is actually the medicine. Our response is where the wisdom grows. When you find yourself in the messiness, remember the tools that you have been cultivating essentially for a lifetime. They were preparing you for times like these. Breath, movement, sleep, water, good food, kind words to yourself and to others, appreciation, and all of those things. Bring them in, use them, in a low key way where you're like, I'm just going to give myself something good. As I was finishing writing this newsletter, I was reminded of many of these tools. I arrived in yoga to find that someone had taken my regular spot, which really isn't a big deal, honestly, but it was such a chaotic day that I could have really used the comfort that that spot brings to me. But everything happens for a reason. I moved to the row behind and found myself in a line packed full of about 6 powerhouse goddesses who I am honored to know. And throughout class, I felt their presence and support through that simultaneous movement, the breathing and the sweat. It was a great reminder that sometimes the glitch that feels aggravating is showing up in order to illuminate something that you would have missed otherwise. I am there with each of you, breathing, moving, praying, and loving. Until next time, bye everybody.